Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Sunday, October 17th. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Indiana game is in 6 days. The game against Michigan in 41 days. Normally on a Sunday, this show is a recap of the Buckeyes game from the previous day. Obviously, they had the week off. So instead, we're going to hear directly from Ryan Day and wide receiver Chris Olave today. Going to hear a little bit about the state of the program, how they took advantage of their week off, and looking ahead to this weekend's game at Indiana. Now, these interviews were from the middle of the week, so you may hear a few time references that don't totally match up to the present. But going back through it, it seemed like there was plenty of interesting stuff that we hadn't really talked about yet. So figured, yeah, why not? The first question is about someone there's been a lot of rumors about, there's been a lot of speculation about, and that is running back Miyan Williams. He was not on the sidelines of the Maryland game, so Ryan Day was asked to provide an update on his status. You'll hear Day's update on that, and then you'll hear a follow-up from Dave Biddle of 247 Sports.
Yeah, expected to have him back. Can't get into specifics on it, but it was, a couple of weeks he was out there, and we plan to have him practicing this week.
How is he dealing with everything? Because he'd be on the gear as a starter. How is he dealing with everything?
Yeah, he seems to be doing well. I think he's looking forward to getting back out there and getting practicing and feeling better. So he needs to get back into the rhythm of practicing, and then once you get healthy again, then you get back on the field, you start to feel better. But until then, yeah, he probably wants to get going and get anxious, yeah.
Another guy who has kind of been in and out of the lineup this year is offensive lineman Harry Miller. He missed the first several games and has been back in a reserve role the last few games. He was one of the starting guards last year, was projected as a starting center through much of the year, and then he's only been playing guard since he came back. So what's the deal? Do they view him as a center? Do they view him as a guard? And you'll hear that answer. And then you'll also hear a follow-up from Joey Kaufman of the Columbus Dispatch.
He's probably more of a swing guy now. He can do both. Which is good. Anytime you have versatility and you can play both, that's a good thing. So, played it last year and played it obviously in the preseason. So, again, both positions.
Has Luke done enough at this point through 6 games that's his starting spot kind of going forward?
Keep working at it. But so far, I've been pleased with the way he's played. He's been solid across the board. We'll keep evaluating, keep looking. We have rotated guys in and out of there, which has been good. As we have a pretty deep offensive line room, which is a value obviously as we head into the second half of the season.
One of the young players who has suddenly become quite a focus of attention for a lot of Ohio State fans is Emeka Egbuka. He has started really making a name for himself on the kickoff unit, but he's not returning punts. That's still Garrett Wilson's department. Ryan Day was asked, why not have him return punts too if he's looking so explosive in the kick return game?
Yeah, kickoff returns, as you know, and punt returns are very, very different. The punt returns, nowadays they can, they can kind of hold up the punt a little bit and allow in college everyone to get downfield, which is different than in the pros. And so you see a lot of the Australian rules guys come over and kind of hold it up a little bit and rugby style things like that. And you can have multiple gunners, so it's a little harder to get those punt returns going. We've been working really hard. We are close, a couple blocks away just last week to getting that done. And so that part we feel like we're closer than we've been. And he's a reliable guy back there. It's very important to have a guy like that. And when you have somebody back there who you believe in can take it back, that motivates the guys in the entire unit to play and to give them a chance. But in terms of the punt returning, that's a much different deal than a kickoff return. Kickoff return, there's just a lot of momentum on both sides, and so it's one of those things we've looked at really, really hard to decide if last year, as we didn't do that. We tried to take the ball to 25. This year, we're picking and choosing our spots, and we think that it's appropriate. And a big part of that is the guys who are on that unit. It's not just the returner; it's everybody involved.
Kick returns are one of those things that you've probably watched your whole life, but you don't necessarily have a real feel for exactly how they work and how difficult they are and what goes into them. Do guys have a certain knack for kick returns that makes them a good returner? And if so, is that something that Ryan Day had noticed in Emeka Egbuka before handing him that role?
I think the answer is yes, there is. And a big part of it is, like you said, having the strength and the size and the courage to run through all that smoke. And that's a big part of it. But we also felt like the guys up front, we had a good group of guys that Parker felt like could give us a chance. And you just try to figure that into it. And when did that happen? You kind of saw it a little bit in preseason, but it was never live. And then, you try to project the best you can. You see him, just his maturity and the way he goes about his business and his toughness in the weight room and just things like that you notice. And then as it's built up, now we have some evidence to show that he can do it.
In addition, today we also talked to Chris Olave about Emeka Egbuka and his role returning kicks. Olave is someone who has done that in his career. How difficult is it, though, to be back there returning kicks? Here's what Olave had to say.
I mean, when you go back on kickoff return, you got to think about your life, really. It's a lot of it's a lot of guys on kickoff running full speed, trying to take the kickoff return head off. But it's natural for Emeka back there at kickoff return. If he get a couple blocks, it's gonna squirt through a hole. So I'm happy for him, and that kickoff return team is gonna be dangerous the rest of the season.
Real quickly though, what do you mean natural? What is it about him that makes it a natural?
When he sees a hole, he's gonna get through there. He knows how to set up blocks, read blocks, and once he sees a little crease, he's gonna get through there. And you saw it on Saturday. He had a couple good returns, and I can't wait to see him back there the rest of the season.
We talked about Miyan Williams. We talked about Harry Miller. Another guy who has been kind of in and out of the lineup this year is Cam Brown. He had another injury issue against Maryland. So what was his status after leaving the Maryland game early last week? You'll hear that answer from Ryan Day, and then you're going to hear a follow-up from Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll practice this week. We'll kind of go day to day and see how he's feeling. But he's a guy who's been playing when he's been out there. He's done a good job. It's just, he's had a hard time staying on the field, and so hopefully this is just another bump in the road. But once he gets back, he's a big part of our defense.
You think he'll be back for the Indiana game?
I hope so. Yeah, we'll see. We could probably get a better idea towards the middle of the week.
Group as a whole, obviously both Cam and Seven have both had to deal with some injuries. Just how do you feel about where that position is in terms of, who you got starting out there and your depth there?
I feel solid about it. I don't know if I can sit here and tell you I feel great about that right now. Midway through the season, I think we're better than we were 6 weeks ago. But overall, still looking for more consistency and more production from that spot.
Kind of a funny moment at the press conference last week with Ryan Day came when Bill Rabinowitz of the Columbus Dispatch asked Day about something he said earlier in the fall. Earlier in the year, he said he wasn't sleeping that well. And so Bill asked him, well, how are you sleeping now? So you'll hear that answer, and then you'll also hear a follow-up from Bill as well.
I don't know how well I'm still sleeping. We still got a lot of football left. We haven't done anything yet. But I think that there is some confidence being built. You can see that some guys are starting to settle into some roles, and that's a good thing. And we're not doing everything for the first time. And I think when we walk onto the field, we're expecting a high level of execution in all three phases. And because of that, there's just a confidence about the team right now that's good. But the competition's going to increase. We're going to have to go on the road here, a night game at Indiana, and play well here, pretty soon. And the games are just going to get bigger and bigger. So. We still have a young team that hasn't changed, but having 6 games under our belt, I do think we're in a better place than we were six games ago.
And in your mind, what are still the biggest issues, the biggest questions you guys have to answer?
I don't know if it's one or two things. I just think that as the competition increases, things get harder and harder. Executing at a high level and using fundamentals and taking care of the football and tackling and all those types of situations, because when you play in, matchup games or you play in tight games, every play matters. Every rep matters, and all it can take is 1 or 2 plays and your whole day can be ruined. And while, we played well the last couple of weeks, that wasn't really the case where it was, come down to 1 or 2 plays. And so just continually focusing on that and fundamentals and, winning the wars up front on the offensive, defensive line, stopping the run, running the football, playing situational football. It's going to come down to some short yardage plays here in some of these tight games, some red zone execution, those type of things.
The Buckeyes have been adding in a whole bunch of different looks and different schemes and different plays over the last couple of weeks. That's something that you're going to see a lot during the course of a season. Teams don't just run the same static playbook from week 1 to week 12. But, is that because they need them to continue to build? Is that because these guys are finally now able to run these plays? Or is this more about just like giving other teams more stuff to think about, more stuff to prepare for to try and overwhelm them? So you'll hear Day's answer on that. And then you'll also hear a follow-up from Clay Hall from ABC6 in Columbus.
Well, I think first off, you always have to try to stay a step ahead, and the good news is, when you have weapons like we do, if they take one thing away, you want to make sure you go attack them in another way. But that's part of this job, is trying to stay one step ahead and figuring out, how are they going to attack you on offense and defense, and having some change ups, but not getting crazy, because you got to make sure you rely on the stuff that you know really well. And again, that's kind of the art of coaching, especially late in the season.
Is there a recruiting strategy this week? How many people you can see get out, et cetera?
Yeah, we went out yesterday. We'll be out Friday, and it's a great opportunity. It's the first time we've really been out and back on the road again, which is really important for us.
Sort of the $64,000 question of Ohio State's first month or month and a half or so of the season is the defense, and how the defense has gotten better. Like, how has that happened that the defense has gone from a real weakness of the team to now looking like, yeah, this is a pretty good Ohio State defense? You will hear Ryan Day's answer on that. And then you're going to hear a follow-up from Austin Ward of Letterman Row.
The overall chemistry, the confidence, and really so far the results have been trending in the right direction. Again, we got some bigger challenges coming here, but as I sit here, I think we're in a different place than we were back then.
You seemed, I don't know, maybe emotional a little bit about it with Kerry getting the game ball on Saturday. Why was that? And this probably could have gone a lot of different ways other than the way it is with him. How's that all worked out behind closed doors?
Yeah, anytime you go through a loss like that and you have to kind of recalibrate some things and restructure things, it's tough. And I've said it publicly already that I just got a lot of respect for the way that whole defensive staff has handled this last month, but in particular Kerry. And because of that, they've all gelled together with one voice. They've come together, and that defense is coming together. And that doesn't just happen. It takes special people who understand what this place is and what Ohio State means. And you don't act that selflessly without really loving Ohio State and loving Buckeye Nation and these kids. And so when you see something like that, you got to call it out for what it is. And I think it's a great lesson for all of our players.
Right after that, our good buddy Tony Gerdeman asked you an interesting question, which was, how do you know when it's time to add more on defense? How do you know when you're going to be able to, when you guys are ready to add some additional schematic stuff and you're not going to overwhelm them? Here's what Day had to say about that.
I mean, that's the art of coaching. There's times where, you got to go. You got to put some things in and mix it up. Then there's other times where, you get done with the game and you're like, man, we did too much, and that's that fine line. And I have actually talked to the guys about that. We got to keep adding, but at the same time, we can't all of a sudden get done with the game and be like, man, we tried to do too much. We were jack of all trades, master of none. Like, that's not a good feeling either. And so that's the back and forth conversation that these guys have got to have. And, I trust them. I mean, they're preparing at a high level. They're getting the guys ready. They're identifying what their guys can do better now. And so because of that, there's a lot of rhythm. And I also think there's just rhythm in the game right now for them, where Kerry's upstairs. He sees it very, very well up there. The information that's coming down to Matt. Matt's doing a good job of calling it. Larry's doing a great job down on the field. And so is Al.
And then I talked all season long about paring down the rotations and all of these things. You've got two sets of two linebackers, seem to be playing really, really well right now. How would you assess that? And does that surprise you that you can rotate like that?
I think that they're getting better every time they play, for sure. We'll see again as we go into these last 6 games where they're at, but there's definitely improvement. And I think when you can play 2 guys at each position, that helps. Let's say you play 70 plays, if each guy can have 35, you can be more efficient, when you cut your plays in half. You can just be faster. You can, you can play with more precision, just the whole thing. You can focus better, when you cut those reps down. And then as they get more and more reps under their belt, then they can take on more reps. There's still not a lot of guys on our defense that can play a full of the whole game over there. 70 some odd plays, so we get guys in and out, but it's starting to build up. You're starting to see those rep counts add up on some of the guys, and that's a good thing. Because if we're going to stop some of the offense we're about to play, the linebackers got to play well.
This weekend's game at Indiana could be an interesting one for Chris Olave. He was a high school football player out in California as a wide receiver. And Ohio State only really found him because they were going out to California to scout his quarterback to see if he was someone they might want to be interested in signing. That quarterback's name was Jack Tuttle. He did not come to Ohio State. In fact, he went to Indiana. And with Michael Penix kind of banged up right now, it is quite possible that Jack Tuttle will be the starting quarterback for Indiana this Saturday when the Buckeyes come visit. So Chris Olave was asked, hey, do you stay in touch with Jack Tuttle? What's that going to be like to play against your old high school buddy?
I can't wait. I mean, it's one of my best friends from high school, and we still talk to this day. So to see him get that start, hopefully this weekend when they play, to watch him, and hopefully when we go out there, he's starting. So I can't wait to see him, and I wish the best for him.
That'll do it for today's show. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. We do tend to get great feedback on these shows when we do them. We will be back a little later on this week. We'll have back to a normal interview schedule. We should be talking to Ryan Day and some of the Buckeyes on Tuesday, and then a whole bunch more players on Wednesday evening. Brian Day will have the lightning round on Thursday, where we're kind of get our last minute questions in for him. And then Friday, we head to Indiana to go cover the Buckeyes and the Hoosiers. That game will kick off 7:30 Saturday night on ABC. And one of the best places to check out the coverage of all of that stuff this week is at BuckeyeScoop.com. We will have complete coverage from our fantastic team of insiders, all at BuckeyeScoop.com. Lots of insight, lots of analysis, lots of fantastic community on our Ask the Insiders board, much, much more. That's all at BuckeyeScoop.com. And also all those press conferences, all those press availabilities, those will all be streamed live at YouTube.com/BuckeyeScoop. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that bell or hit the little circular Buckeye Scoop logo that's going to pop up in a second. That'll subscribe you to our channel. And what that'll do is that will mean you get notified every time we post a new video, every time we go live with one of these press conferences. When we do one of our live shows, we did a live Buckeye Weekly show on Friday this weekend. We did a live Buckeye Weekly show on Saturday night this weekend. We'll have a live pre and post game show this weekend. We'll probably do a live show Friday night from Indiana. There is a lot going on. There's a ton to talk about with this year's Buckeye team, and the best way to make sure you're a part of all of it is by subscribing at youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.